So, this is funny. Robbie Crawford, Andy Blanks. You are, as of the shooting of this video, the newest YM360 team member.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Happy to take on a lot of the jokes and the pranks. Have a guy, he's felt like he's alone in the world.
That's right. And his name is Will Smith. Was our was our newest team member, and so and a guy named Will Smith. There's a lot of jokes that he has, right?
I mean, he's really
maybe a little too young to get the Fresh Prince
feel.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But you and I have known each other for a really long time. We ministered together at our church, Shades Mountain Baptist, here in Birmingham. You're actually my children's minister, and I hired you, which is fantastic. That means you did a really good job.
I enjoyed it. I love student ministry. Did it for multiple years, and so the opportunity to step out of it feels bad to be like I left the church, right? We don't want to use those words.
That's right. That's right. We're just serving the church in a different way.
Serving, yeah, exactly. So, just love what we believe in here at YM360.
Yeah.
So, caught hold of the vision, and have really enjoyed just the first couple weeks here.
Yeah,
excited to come alongside youth pastors, really. And because I get it. I get where you're at.
When you've had a heart for training and workshops and stuff like that, and again, it's one reason it's such an easy transition. One of the things that you've done a really good job of bringing to our team is this really fresh perspective of, we stay in close contact with youth workers in the trenches, but it's always an advantage to have a guy who steps right out of vocational youth ministry into this role, because you get some really fresh takes on what it's like to be in the trenches every day and working on church staff. And this topic that we're talking about today is actually one that really kind of flowed out of a brainstorming meeting that you really brought to the table. And it's basically this idea of there are things that we are called to do in youth ministry that light us up, right? We get charged up about it, right? The relational stuff, the discipleship, the events. You're a big rec guy, big games guy, right?
Nothing like that big Disciple Now weekend.
That's right. That's right.
Where you got a couple hundred students, or you got 100 students.
That's
and
right.
You're like, hey, let's go. Like
that's
you come off of that, and you're amped and you're energized.
Yeah, that's the stuff we wake up for.
Yeah, and then Monday comes.
You got to start making some phone calls, doing admin work, and that's the stuff that's maybe not so fun. But I think one of the things that you've really helped me see even is how important that is to effective ministry. If we don't do the small things well,
absolutely.
The sort of the bigger things that we see, we're actually less effective at those things. So what's a word about maybe making sure that, like phone calls, that's one of the things that you and I laugh about.
Absolutely.
Because I hate answering the phone. It's kind of a joke, right?
We live in a world, right, where phone calls become more of this burden. I remember a time when texting was first coming out, right? And we would say, hey, why would I text someone when I can just pick up the phone and call them? Whereas nowadays, if someone calls me, I'm like, I'm not going to answer that. I want them to text me.
That's right, I want them to text me.
And so
we've had
this flip, right? But one of the things that we want to talk about is that phone calls matter. Whether you're doing phone calls for recruitment, because obviously you can't run your student ministry alone, so you're going to have to make phone calls.
That's right.
And so you don't want to view it as a necessary evil, because there's beauty to phone calls on either side of it. So if you're that person that, let's say, you really, really don't like phone calls, and so you look at this huge list of, hey, I've got to make 35 phone calls today, and probably
makes me tired.
25 of them are going to tell me no right off the bat.
So not only are they phone calls you have to make, but they're ones that you anticipate maybe not. It's a hard sell, right?
Exactly. You're like, hey, I want you to come with me on this weekend retreat. I know that there's good football games going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Jesus.
Opening season, hunting season, right?
Exactly.
Ready?
Yeah. So, but one thing that I really like to look at in phone calls is that phone calls don't have to just be for recruitment.
Yeah.
If you want to make phone calls matter, make conversations matter. Just as you would be energized to sit down with someone and have coffee, or sit down and talk about, hey, how are small groups going for you right now? If you've got this long list of recruitments, one of the things that helped me a lot was to say, you know what? I've got 3 people, and they probably can't come to this event.
That's right.
But it's going to be so good to just reach out to them and say, hey, all I'm doing is call. I'm not calling with like a hook or anything like that. I'm just calling because, hey, how's it going?
That's good.
What's going on?
So focus on the ministry maybe and not as much as the medium or the task itself, right?
Absolutely.
That's a good word. So you make a point as we were kind of brainstorming this session, something that I think I've had to get better about as I've gotten older, but just about kind of being organized in the small things, right? Mm-hmm. Like even things as seemingly minor as organizing your office, organizing your desk. Why does that matter?
Yeah. So it's a stressor, right? When I sit down and I have all of this work that I got to do, and I know that I had a meeting with this guy, and he handed me a piece of paper.
Oh, I'm so bad about
and
this.
I'm like, okay, I've got that piece of paper. Now I need to work on that task.
Where's that piece of paper?
Where's that piece of paper? So I'm going to spend 25 minutes rummaging through my desk trying to find it. But if I can come sit down in a nice, clean space, and it doesn't have to be if you're like the type A person. I'm not saying that you should walk in and Marie Kondo should have like come through your space and organized it. But if you can sit down and you have your organizational
there's some sort of system.
Exactly. If you don't have a system, you're going to lose things, and then you're going to constantly be functioning in the stress. So when we're having this conversation of, hey, I'm trying to do ministry, I'm trying to do ministry with you, and then it hits me, oh no, I forgot to turn in that budget report.
Yeah.
I forgot to turn in that receipt.
So it does impact, and we've even been speaking, you and I, because it's retreat season, right? We're kind of moving up to the end of the year. People start thinking about the big winter retreat season. There's so many details that go into winter retreat.
Absolutely.
And when you show up to that retreat, it's too late to take care of this punch list of admin tasks.
Absolutely.
But if we're organized, if and again, don't get fired up about doing the task, but if we can get on those early, it actually does empower our ministry.
Absolutely.
What about you? You have, as we were talking about this, how we engage with parents on the phone, how we engage with parents in clear communication. That is how we minister to their students, right?
Yeah.
Unpack that for me.
So you're a parent, obviously.
Yes.
Love your kids.
Well, good. They love you, so
fantastic.
that's a good thing.
So there's this thing that comes on, especially for student ministers that are new to the job, right? You get this email from a parent, and they're like, hey, I didn't know about this. Well, I got some questions about this. When is pickup for this? So you get that question once, and you're like, okay, whatever. Fine. Like, they just didn't read the email. And then you get that question again, and then you get that question again.
And all of a sudden, the light's starting to go off.
It goes off, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I didn't properly communicate to this,
Yeah.
especially if you're dealing with junior high students. You have to realize that if a parent believes and trusts you for an event, then they're going to bring their student to that event. But if a parent doesn't trust you, then that kid's not showing up because they're not going to jump on the MARTA and find their way to your student ministry event. So when we're dealing with parents and we're working with parents, parent ministry is student ministry, and we have to believe in that conversation with our parents, because at the end of the day, if you believe in ministering to students, your parents have a lot more time to do so. So why would we not?
That's right.
Want to empower them?
That's right.
Right.
When you make a great point that so much of that trust is built in the little things, right? If you're a guy or a gal who's constantly kind of dropping the ball or coming in late, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, do I really trust them? I'm going to send my child off with them for the weekend. Yeah. I wonder if they do have the ropes course figured out.
Or even like worse, like for a whole week, right?
I know, right?
We just recently got to lead a trip down to Orlando with your students.
You're with my children down there.
And we're on like an 8.5-hour bus ride. If I don't have the details of, you know what, we know where we're eating lunch. And you don't have to communicate all those details,
That's right?
Some parents are going to be like, you know what,
I
don't need the dietary plan. But there are those parents that will need it, and we have to find this balance of both, because both are needed in our student ministry. And if you're not the type A detail person, one of the coolest things you can do is if you start to build a relationship with a parent, bring them in on your team, bring them in as a volunteer, and let them think through those details for you.
Oh man, that's a good word. I remember years ago, I was just getting started out in publishing youth ministry resources, and we had a complaint come in, right?
Yeah.
And like I read this complaint, and at first I was like, oh man, this is a pretty pointed issue. And then you realize, oh wait, she's right. And so pick up the phone and go, hey, that's a great insight. It stung a little bit, but like, could you actually help us make this change that you suggested? And actually, we're about to create some more new content. Would you help us lead out here? And it turns out I built a really great relationship with this writer who she's been doing youth ministry and writing for years. And it started because she made a little bit of a critique about one of the details of how we were doing things. So yeah, sometimes the people who point those issues out are the exact ones to incorporate for the solution.
And then all of a sudden you have a parent who's going to reach out to other parents and have relational capital that you don't even have.
That's right.
And they're going to say, hey, I talked to the youth pastor, and he listened and applied what I was trying to do, and he knows that I'm a valuable member of the team.
Building that relational equity. Hey, these have been great points. I love your last thought that we were kind of brainstorming here about, I want to close with this. Yeah. And you've written down here, make the decisions now to make choices later. What do you mean by that?
So it's when you find yourself unorganized,
Yeah.
when you're just trying to get past the little things, past the office work, because you're like, you know what, it doesn't matter.
That's right. I'm going to go do the real ministry.
I'm going to go do D-Nows or Wednesday nights, and so I'm going to spend 35 hours of my week writing sermons.
That's right.
Those other things will come up later. If we don't make the decisions to handle things now, then the choices that we're going to make later on in those moments they're going to be rash. We're going to overlook things.
Yeah.
And as I see an opportunity, if I make the decision to handle administration now, and admin, it's not. I'm bad at admin. Hear me when I say that. I haven't mastered this by any means. But if I can make the decision that, you know what, on Monday morning, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do my admin.
Yeah.
When the student reaches out to me after school on Tuesday, I can make it's an easy choice.
Because you've already made those decisions earlier.
I'm gonna go have ice cream with them. I can't make that choice if I've not decided to handle what needs to be done early.
That's good. That's good. Hey, I'm glad you're on the team.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Hey, Robbie Crawford, Andy Blanks, we love being in the trenches with youth workers.
Absolutely.
We know that what you do matters. We're here to support you. If we can help you with anything, give us a call, email us, live chat us, show up at Robbie's front door.
Please.
Yeah, his wife Lindsay makes great brownies. I don't actually know that to be true, but I imagine
She's a
that
great
she does.
cook. I love it. She got that little easy.
That's right. Thank you guys for what you do. We'll see you later.